All right, I want to take us deep into some feminine archetypal layers right now. So there's this idea when we're thinking about deepening into our sexuality that we need to learn where our clitoris is, where the G-spot is, where all these different parts of the yoni are, and then we're going to be able to tap into this amazing experience of sexuality and orgasmic energy. I just want to kind of cut that shit for right now. Like the way that I have learned how to access more of my potency, my aliveness, my eros, my femininity has not been through chasing, understanding more about my anatomy. It's actually about going into the well of depth that lives inside of me. And that doesn't come through understanding more cognitively. It actually comes through the embodiment process of coming inside of myself. And so, and I actually use this word as well, like coming in, coming all the way into the being. And it's almost like I'm descending through the layers of my physical body, through my energy body, through my aura, through all these different places. And what starts to upwell from there is like these archetypal energies. And it's like I get to visit different parts of myself. Like, for example, one that came up for me recently was like this fear, the fear of getting older, the fear of now being married and stepping from that place of like maiden into mother, and recognizing that as I grow older, I'm going to lose my looks, I'm going to lose my youth, and I'm going to feel this like old hag energy that lives inside of me. And I could feel how much resistance I had to this hag energy. It was like, I was just like, oh, it's disgusting and old and crone-like. And I just was like, I don't want to be that. I want to be my young, youthful, bubbly self. And I started to recognize there was a resistance to this archetypal energy that lived inside of me. That was not a fear, which was actually deeply erotic. When I went into that space and I just sat with myself, I came into my body, I started to breathe, I started to feel into this hag that I was avoiding, and I started to make sounds like her. I started to feel like the grotesqueness of her through my body. And I started to open to this like disgust that I felt inside of me. And all of that feeling and all of that sensation, all of that somatic knowing actually took me into like a deeper understanding of actually the potency of this archetype inside of me. And it was in stopping from like resisting that archetype that I actually accessed more of this orgasmic feeling. And for me, it feels like slow and potent and like powerful. And I feel like there's something in this when we talk about a woman's sexuality. It's not this process of like chasing Botox and boob jobs and like more aesthetic ideas of what makes us more beautiful, more sexy, and how to be a high valued women that I see on YouTube so often. It's actually in the process of recognizing that in owning the entirety of the goddess, the totality of the feminine, that we are able to feel more of our feminine juice, the excitement, the exquisiteness of what it means to be a woman in this lifetime. And that is really what I'm a stand for. This is what I want for women everywhere. This is what Yoni Elixir is here to create, is that potency of being able to slow down and feel and be with these parts of ourselves. And this embodiment practice of like connecting in with whatever archetypal energy you may be resisting is a process of recognizing what it is that you are avoiding. For me, in that moment, was the hag. For you, it might be your neediness. It might be your masculinity. Actually, it could be the masculine part of you that wants to like strive and get ahead and move in the world. Whatever part of you you're resisting, it could be the laziness that you feel like this complete apathy inside of the body. Like anything that you're resisting is where your eros lives. And when you get into that layer of beyond that physicality of the body, of just like, okay, I'm here, I'm out in the world, I'm doing things, and the energy body, which is just like the feeling that's around you, might be heavy, might be light, whatever that feeling is around you. And then you drop into that emotional body. It's like, what is the felt sense that I'm having? Is it the resistance towards it? Is it sadness? Is it grief? Is it rage? Like whatever that feeling is that you need to feel is going to be the portal and the access to get into the body. For a lot of women, it's actually anxiety, it's fear, and there's not always a question mark of what that anxiety and fear is. Often it just shows up as something externally needs to change. And actually, when we recognize it goes beyond those layers of what's happening outside and come inside, that's when we start to access more of this potency and this power that I'm speaking to. So going in, physical body, energetic body, emotional body, then we come into that layer, which is where the archetypes live. This is where the transpersonal nature of our being lives. This is where we feel like the frequencies and the states and the parts of us. We access something that's more collective, so it's never really personal. Like that part of me that's afraid of getting old, being a crone, being an old hag. It's like, that's not just belonging to Victoria, that is collectively inside of women, like everywhere. And so I'm just tapping into this like collective understanding and this knowing of this archetype. And it's the same everywhere. Like every place in the world has the archetype of the mother, the crone, the king, the queen. All of these archetypes, they exist as an understanding in our mind. You don't have to speak the same language as somebody to deeply understand that part of them. And so really what we're doing is coming into that collective knowing inside of the body, and inside of there, that and that feeling into that place, and going into that part of the system, whatever it is for you, and identifying the archetypal energy that is alive for you in this moment. You might see an image in your mind of an old woman. You might see, just have like a felt sense of just like disgust or grossness or aliveness or pleasure or sluttiness, whatever the feeling is. You're being taken into the portal of the archetype by actually just letting your imagination run wild and just letting the body open to that. It can happen somatically, it can happen visually, it can happen through sounds, through smells, whatever it is. Your senses will take you into the archetypal layer. And once you're in that layer, there's just a swimming and a knowing, and sometimes self-pleasuring in front of a mirror, or like being seen in that part of you, or making faces, or like moving the body how you feel that part would be moving. Like as I was activating some of that energy around the hag, I felt this slowness. Like I was just feeling such a stillness through my body. But inside of that stillness, there was like a thread of aliveness that was taking me into the potency and the power of feeling what I was feeling as I accessed that stillness. It was like everything was distilling down and down and down into this capacity to not need to move fast, to not need to do anything to own my power and my potency. So it was almost like I got to access some of the gold as I started to feel the grotesqueness and the disgust actually open up to that. And I feel like there's nothing to do once you find this place other than just to revel in whatever it is that you've discovered and whatever it is that you've found. And when you found that place, it's just like what you'll find is like a sense of relief that just opens up through the body. And that's when you'll know, like, okay, this is the moment to stop, or another layer of like archetypal energies will open and there will be something else that will appear to you. And then you can just deepen through that and you can start to feel the pleasure of that. And for me, this is the exquisiteness of a female pleasure access code, is because you're not using like, oh, if I stimulate the G-spot this way and if I stimulate the clitoris this way, blah, blah, blah. You're starting to access the realm of possibility, because archetypes live all over the world. And we have this capacity to tap into those energies at any time, any space, any moment. And then once you access them with yourself, what you're going to start to do is you'll call in the partners and the beloveds that are actually able to access that with you. And if you already have a partner, what you'll probably find is that you accessing more of that inside of yourself is going to allow your partner to access more of that inside of themselves. So take this away, play with this, and see where you land.